Hello guys, if this is your first time on this channel, welcome. I am doing a slightly different video from my usual sort of vlog style. This is just to talk about my audition for ALRA. If you're here sort of by chance, you've just stumbled onto this page and you don't know what ALRA is, then, I mean, hey, by all means watch along, but it's probably going to be a bit of a weird video for you. ALRA stands for the Academy of Live and Recorded Arts, one in Manchester and one in London, and I was auditioning for the one in London, which is ALRA South. I just wanted to use this medium to sort of give people kind of a taster of maybe what they might expect when they go for an audition there, what I had to prepare, sort of like the cost. Yeah, if you have an experience or any thoughts, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys and see if anyone had similar experiences. And I think also it's quite cathartic for me. I tend to process stuff verbally by talking about it, so I think this is quite therapeutic for me, and it is good to talk about it. I do need to make a disclaimer on this video that I didn't make it through the whole audition process. So ALRA do their auditions in two sort of rounds. I only made it through to the first half, so if you want the full experience of the whole day at ALRA, maybe this video is not for you, but I don't think it's entirely lost on you, because I think there's a lot to take away from the first half of the day at least. So the audition I think runs from 9:30 until 3:30. It's up in London on the campus. It's sort of near Clapham Junction. The audition costs £45. There's ways around it if you don't, if you're not in a stable position money wise, or you can't afford it. But yeah, the bog standard fee is £45, which I guess is it's one of the cheaper auditions you'll get, but it's still not cheap. So I've been to an audition for ALRA before. It's this lovely like Gothic building. It's quite old. But the audition I went to before wasn't for the drama school, it was just at ALRA. Yeah, so I knew the place quite well and I knew how to get to it, but the last time I went, it was really confusing to find the room we were supposed to be in. So I got there quite early, and immediately there were just signposts everywhere saying ALRA auditions this way. It was super clear, and I saw one sign, followed that, and before I even got to another sign, which there were loads of, there was someone there, I think his name was Luke, to greet me, who was a current student of ALRA, and he took me through to the audition room, which is like this big hall. There were maybe about 20 people in there when I arrived. So yeah, I went in, and after having a chat with this Luke guy, sat down, started talking to some people that were there already, and there was a really nice atmosphere in the room. Everyone was quite relaxed, and they'd already started chatting to people. Yeah, it felt very inclusive, which was great. I think sometimes audition rooms can feel a bit frosty, and it didn't. It was good. Just before the audition sort of officially started and we were properly welcomed, I think there were probably about 60, maybe just more than 60 sort of auditionees there. We got welcomed by the head of ALRA, or the drama course, I think. She was lovely. She was really, really nice, really relaxing. She had a really good rapport and a nice presence. It sort of calmed people down a little bit initially. I think there's a couple of drama schools that feel like, I don't know, a bit pretentious maybe, and like you should feel privileged to audition for here. Not everyone is offered this opportunity, but ALRA was the complete opposite. It was like, yeah, this is the course. If it's not for you, then fair enough, at least you've taken the time, but this is your day as much as it is our day. And that was great. That's a really nice thing to hear from a drama school. She also said that if you have any questions about the course, she said, like, don't ask me, because I'm going to give you a biased opinion on the course. She said, ask the students, because they will be honest, which I love, because it's it's encouraging people to just find out the truth rather than like a sort of pretty version of the truth, from a teacher's point of view. She also said that they've recently changed the syllabus. So in previous years, where you would have done like an essay, for example, on voice, you now would do a podcast or a vlog or something like that, which is obviously super cool and kind of appealed to me because I'm doing this at the moment. Anyway, so she introduced herself and sort of everyone else in the room. There was her, there were a couple of tutors from the school, and then there were 4 students, I think, and a guy who was sort of from their like head office in Swansea, who wasn't there to watch us. He was there to sort of oversee the auditions themselves. Yeah, and they were all very nice and very calming and relaxing. The first thing we did was a warm-up, which was with the voice coach. We did some like bits where you sort of massage different body parts, and then did a move with your body and put a specific sound to it, which was really cool. It was great to have a warm-up first thing, because you know, you've got to do a monologue and you've got to move, and it's nice to be warmed up, because some places just kind of throw you into it. As much as I understand why they do that, it's nice to actually be a bit more prepared, and then everyone is on the same level, you know, everyone's warmed up to the same degree. Then we stood in a big circle and she split us into chunks, and she was like, right, I'm going to give you a bit to sing. I just want you to repeat that, and then when we're all together, I'll give you some controls. So she made us go like louder and quieter, and then she cut us off at the end. And yeah, that was really cool. It sounded amazing, and it was all really simple. Like, I think our group just had to go like, yeah, 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 yeah. So that was cool. Then we were asked to pick one line from our monologue, and we had to go around the circle, make eye contact with everyone in the room, and say our line to them, which was really interesting because you get a feel for everyone's sort of monologues, and I found myself actually changing the way I said it because it's taken out of context, that one line. And yeah, obviously some people had really funny lines, like one guy said, and he had his penis out, which sort of got a laugh as it went round. It was really great because it means you've at least acknowledged every single person in the room. Then you've made eye contact with everyone, tutors and you know, students included. They were all there as well, which was cool. The only thing I will say about the warm-up is that we had maybe a third of the hall to do the warm-up in, and all of the auditionees did it together. So like I said, there were about 60, 65 of us maybe. Yeah, it felt a bit crowded. And also I think when I go into an audition, and I think this is the same with everyone, you need to be switched on from the moment you get in. You know, they're going to be looking at how you interact with people from the minute you go through the door, you know, how you talk to the tutors, how you sort of mingle with the people that are already there, how you take part in the day. And I kind of felt like with so many people in there, how are they keeping track of, you know, how are they looking at each person? But maybe they weren't. Maybe that was just a warm-up. Maybe that's me overthinking it in sort of audition mode. You know, that was on my mind. The other thing that's worth noting as well is that the day I auditioned, which was the 22nd of February, was completely full up by the looks of it. So I think that's probably the most people you'll ever get in an audition. But still, you know, I thought they were at least going to maybe break us into two halves or something. Anyway, then we got split into groups and put with an ALRA student. I had a guy called Akash, who was very nice, very chilled. He seemed to love the course. I asked him a couple of questions. Yeah, and he took us through to a room where we did our first monologue. So ALRA are slightly different. They ask for 3 monologues rather than the usual 2. So most places ask for a contemporary and a classical, but ALRA ask for 2 contemporaries and a classical. One of the contemporaries can either be contrasting to your first one, or it can be a poem, or spoken word, or something that you've written yourself. Yeah, I think that kind of is an interesting dynamic to add. I don't know quite if I like the 2 contemporaries or not. The general consensus from people that I spoke to was that their second contemporary wasn't as good. And I think the reason for that is because people generally audition for a lot of drama schools in one go, and I think it's just something else to learn. And therefore it's like, oh, I've got to learn this one for ALRA, but I don't need it for anything else. And then it feels a bit sort of like, I don't know, maybe rushed. And I wonder if that's why they do it. The other reason I thought they might do it is maybe because if you do like a contemporary and a classical that are basically the exact same theme, which obviously is a big no-no, you know, even if you do that, the language difference I think is enough just to make them seem contrasting. If you do 2 contemporaries, the idea is that you could potentially fall into the trap of doing the same thing basically twice. I think the potential is to fall in the trap of doing the same thing twice. Maybe that's why they do it. I don't know. That's what I thought, but who knows? So we went into the audition room and we did our first monologue, which was not the spoken word one. It was the other contemporary one. I had a lady called Paloma and a guy called Tom. Tom was from admissions and Paloma was the current acting tutor. She was very young for an acting tutor, which I really, really liked. I mean, maybe that's not something you would like to see in an audition, but I really liked it. She was very chill, very funny, and very relaxing, and I absolutely loved that. We were in a group of maybe about 12 in this group, and she just made us feel all really calm. You know, first thing she said was, you're paying to be here. This is a paid workshop, so take this time as yours. You know, it's as much our time as it is yours. And I love that. That's something I always tell myself. If you're paying for somewhere, then, you know, they're also providing a service to you as well as you auditioning. She laughed at people's comedy monologues, which I'd never seen in an audition, and I also loved that, and it encouraged other people to laugh and sort of actively take part as an audience member rather than just sort of passively sit and think about your own monologue. She also said, I'm really sorry if we're writing. I would love to, you know, give you guys my undivided attention, but we kind of have to do this to make notes. I'm really sorry. Loved that. And she also said, we are going to clap for audition monologues, but we'll do it at the end of everyone's instead of at the end of each individual monologue, just because people worry about who got allowed a clap and blah, 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 blah. And I love that as well. I think I've not been to an audition where you've been encouraged to clap after the end of auditions. And it was great. It really, really made you feel comfortable. Everyone there in my group was amazing. Their monologues were fantastic. Really good performances and very varied as well, which was great. Anyway, after we'd done the first monologue, we then went back into the room and we were sent up to another room on the other side of ALRA to do our second contemporary. This was with a different person. I think there were two people in the room. One was Jane, who I think was an acting tutor, and then there was another lady as well. The difference with this one is that instead of watching the monologues, they were individual, which was great to get a bit of both. The other thing I liked about this as well was that while we were in a separate room, it meant that our group could sort of talk and mingle, which was really nice. I met some really nice people. I met a guy called Cameron. If he's watching or anything, I hope you got through and I hope you get the drama school of your choice. Anyway, then I got called through, did my second monologue, and I thought it went pretty well. She asked me after my monologue how old I was and what I was currently up to. I tried to be just as honest as possible because I think there's an idea that with interviews and auditions you have to make some sort of like warped version of the truth to make yourself sound fantastic. And I know this might sound a bit stupid, but I just tried to be honest, and I just sort of said like, look, I'm 23, I've been out of school for sort of 5 years now, I'm fed up, I want to move on to the next chapter of my career. I've done lots, I've worked in a theatre, met all these nice people, I've learnt lots about myself and about life and the industry, love working in a theatre, but I'm ready to move on, I'm ready for the next chapter, and this for me is how I go about doing that. I didn't realise that ALRA had actually done the show that my monologue was from though, which I was kind of annoyed at because maybe it was a bit of an insight as to why I didn't get in, because they'd seen it done before. I don't think it was necessarily a popular monologue. I found a couple of versions of it on YouTube, but not a huge amount. So yeah, maybe that influenced the decision. But yeah, I felt that was cool as well. And because you'd not been in the room you were doing your monologue in, it sort of threw people a little bit, which I think was intentional. Then we went back down and we had lunch, and they announced who was staying and who was going. I think it was about 2/3 of the people left, and then the other sort of third stayed for the next round. So yeah, I do have some thoughts on the audition day, sort of in general. Like I said, the first one is that maybe I felt like it was too many people for a warm-up in a not big enough space. Secondly, I think this is the first audition I've been to that I haven't had any nerves or jitters at all, which is a really strange experience, but I think that's just testament to how relaxed and comfortable the school make you feel. And I think nerves are good, don't get me wrong, but it was nice just to go to one audition where I just felt completely calm. There was a little bit of confusion throughout the day as to what was happening next. I think maybe they just need to inform the staff or the students that are around what's going on so they can give a definitive answer. Like, for example, when we were having lunch, no one knew if that was lunchtime or if we were waiting for something else. So people started to eat anyway, just because we were really hungry and we were waiting. And then they announced who was going, and people had to leave with like half mouthfuls of food, or like a half-eaten sandwich or something. So yeah, I think a bit of clarity in that area would have been nice. The third thing is that as of currently, I'm just checking my phone, I did get an email to say, we're really sorry you didn't get in, but they haven't given me any feedback. And I know not everywhere does this, so this isn't a criticism on the school, but I did send them an email 4 days ago now, just saying thanks for the opportunity. Is there any chance I could get some feedback on my audition to help me in the future? No worries if not. I'd just appreciate if you could let me know. And I haven't had anything back yet, so something to consider at least. I just need to quickly butt in here because since recording this, I have had a reply from ALRA. The feedback that I got said clarity of text, thinking about what's at stake when you're giving the speech and sort of the situation surrounding it. Yeah, it was nice that they replied. I do think the feedback is a little bit vague because, you know, it's come from the admissions team and they obviously have just read my form that the audition panel sort of filled out. Personally, I felt like I did that, and I also don't know what monologue that's referring to because like I said, I saw 2 different people in the audition room, or if it's referring to both. Vague feedback is better than no feedback, and it's definitely something that I can take on to future auditions and things like that with me. So yeah, I just wanted to say that and clear that up because otherwise it's not a fair representation. They did get back to me. The website specifically tells you to, you know, read up on your plays, not just your monologue. So, you know, you need to know your play inside out, back to front, which, you know, you don't need ALRA to tell you that. That's what you should do for an audition. If you don't know, you know, that's what you should do for an audition. But we didn't get the opportunity to talk about the plays, and, you know, I'm sure maybe later on I would have, but that's something that I really wanted to do, and I feel like is good because it gives you an insight into why you've picked that monologue and why in turn would sort of dig up the people who don't know their plays and have just picked a monologue because they found it online. Yeah, and I guess the last thing really that I had was that I didn't get to do my interview, and maybe that links into number 4 in that, you know, we would talk about the plays then. But I really think that an interview says so much more about a person than their monologue. And I know that might sound silly because, you know, you're an actor. Who cares who cares who you are, as long as you can act well. But I think the interview just says so much about a person. Really gives you an idea of where they're at, and if they are ready to be moving on to the next step, what sort of area they like, especially with ALRA. You know, they do live and recorded, so, you know, if they're more into their sort of TV and film or plays. Yeah, I just think I was a little bit disappointed that the interviews were in the second half, and I understand they have a lot of people, and it's probably a way of just like, well, you know, we don't think even if we did give you an interview, we would want you. I've worked at a theatre for a long time, and as a result, I work with a lot of actors. I've met some really, really talented people. Obviously, I'm not going to name names, but I've met people that are so up themselves and so cocky and so arrogant. And then the complete opposite. Like, I've met some people that are phenomenal performers, but are just very shy and very quiet. I'm not saying that being shy or quiet is a bad thing, but I am saying that it's interesting and it's something that you would sort of get to see through the interview process. But I'm sure they have their reason for doing it, and, you know, I'm not by any means telling ALRA how they should be running their school or their audition day because, you know, who am I to say something like that? I just personally think that interviews say so much about a person, and I think to link in with that point is that because you pay £45 for an audition fee, I felt a little bit, I don't know if cheated's the right word, but I felt like for £45 I should have at least have been spoken to about who I am, and you know, and like I said, they did do that a little bit in the second contemporary, but it was basically just, what are you doing and what's your age, and, you know, sort of like 30 seconds of just, I'm doing this, I'm this age, and, you know, I hope you'll consider me. Also, I think an interview is a really, really good chance for the auditionees to find out about the school because, you know, interviews go 2 ways. You can ask questions to them, and I know we do that throughout the day and you're encouraged to, and like I said, I did. I spoke to students and I spoke to tutors, but I think that maybe would bring up questions that you wouldn't necessarily have thought about. So that was my main gripe with the audition day, really. Having said that, I had a really, really good day. I really enjoyed the workshop. I think ALRA is a brilliant school, and I loved its work ethos and the rapport they have with people. I met some really, really nice people, and yeah, like I said, I just had a really fun day. So if you're on the fence, then I would definitely go and audition for ALRA. It's fantastic. It's a brilliant school. And if I'm in this position sort of next year, then I will definitely audition for it again. But there's just a few things to consider, like that maybe. Anyway, guys, sorry that it was a slightly longer video, but I hope that you got something from this and you can take something to your next audition, whether it be at ALRA or not. I've also done a couple of other auditions, so I will be making videos on them. They're not up currently. This is the first one I'm posting, but keep an eye out for those if you're interested. I've done the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I've done Fourth Monkey, which is in America and London. So if you do want to check out those, or if anyone that you know is auditioning for them and you want to pass on this video, share, like, comment, do all that stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helped you guys in some way.